If you've ever built something beautiful, set it outside, and watched it fall apart in a single season, it probably wasn't your joinery. It wasn't your finish. It was the wood itself. Some species look strong on the shelf but were never built to survive rain, sun, and freezing nights. Today I'm walking through 7 wood types that quietly ruin outdoor furniture, and I'm saving the worst one for last, because it's the one almost every woodworker has used without realizing what they were actually building with. Stick with me to the end, because that last mistake might be sitting in your own backyard right now. Let's start with basswood, sometimes called linden. This is a favorite for carving because it's soft and forgiving under a chisel, but that same softness is exactly why it fails outdoors. Basswood has almost no natural oils or resins, the compounds that give other woods their built-in defense against moisture and fungus. Left outside, it soaks up water like a sponge, swells, and opens the door for rot within a single wet season. Here's the tell: if you press a fingernail into the surface of an outdoor basswood piece and it leaves a soft dent, the wood is already breaking down internally, even if the outside still looks fine. If you've ever carved a beautiful basswood sign for the garden and watched it go soft and gray within a year, now you know why. It was never a durability problem. It was a wood selection problem, and no amount of sanding or restaining fixes wood that's absorbing water from the inside out. The frustrating part is that basswood dries out just as fast as it soaks up moisture, so it's constantly swelling and shrinking through every rain and dry spell. That back and forth movement is what eventually splits carved details and pulls glued seams apart, long before outright rot even finishes the job. Next is poplar. This one catches people off guard because poplar is a hardwood, and a lot of woodworkers assume hardwood automatically means outdoor tough. It doesn't. Poplar is lightweight, fast-growing, and low in the natural extractives that protect wood from decay fungi. It's a fantastic wood for painted indoor furniture and cabinet parts you'll never see, but outside, poplar absorbs moisture quickly and has very little resistance to rot or insects. A poplar porch chair might look fine in June and be spongy at the joints by October. And here's the part that costs people money. Because poplar takes paint and stains so well, it often gets marketed and sold as a budget outdoor option. You're not just buying a weaker wood, you're often paying to replace that same piece 2 or 3 times over the years, which ends up costing more than building it right the first time with a wood meant to handle weather. Poplar also has a habit of developing greenish or purplish streaks called mineral staining, and while that's harmless indoors, outside it's often a sign that moisture has already started working into the fibers along those same streaks, since they tend to be softer than the surrounding wood. Third is birch. Birch has beautiful, tight, pale grain, and it's a dream to work with indoors, but it's one of the least weather-resistant woods you can choose for anything that lives outside. Birch has thin bark and minimal natural rot resistance, which means it's a preferred meal for decay fungi and wood-boring insects the moment it stays damp. In its natural form, birch left in contact with soil or rain can start breaking down in a single season. If you've built a birch plant stand and it's already darkening and softening at the base, that's the decay fungi doing exactly what birch has almost no defense against. One thing to watch for with birch specifically is dark blotchy staining that spreads outward from any spot where 2 pieces touch, because that's usually moisture trapped between the joints, and by the time you see it on the surface, the decay has already been working underneath for weeks. Birch bark itself makes things worse, because it's almost waterproof, which sounds like a good thing until you realize it traps moisture against the wood underneath instead of letting it escape. Any birch project that still has bark on it, like a rustic log-style bench, is essentially sealing water against the most vulnerable part of the wood every time it rains. Number 4 is spruce, and this is where the mistakes get more expensive, because spruce shows up in lumber yards labeled as construction grade, and people assume construction grade means built to last outside. It doesn't. Spruce is a fast-growing softwood with low density and very little natural rot resistance. It's fine framing lumber because it's protected inside walls, away from direct weather. Put spruce out in the open, exposed to rain and sun cycles, and you're looking at cracking, warping, and fungal decay well before most hardwoods would even start to show wear. The giveaway with spruce is how fast it changes color. Healthy spruce is pale and almost white. Once it starts going gray and streaky within just a few months outdoors, rather than gradually over a year or two like naturally weather-resistant woods, that's spruce telling you it was never built for this job. Spruce is also full of small, tight knots, and those knots are where trouble usually starts first. Water collects around the edge of a knot more than anywhere else on the board, so a spruce outdoor project often begins rotting from the inside of its own knots outward, which means the damage can be advancing before you ever see a mark on the flat face of the wood. Fifth is beech, and this one genuinely surprises woodworkers, because beech feels dense, heavy, and premium in your hands. It's a workhorse for indoor furniture and cutting boards. But beech reacts badly to humidity swings, absorbing and releasing moisture repeatedly until it warps, and it's known for developing dark mildew staining fast when kept damp. No amount of sealant fully solves this, because the wood itself keeps moving with every wet and dry cycle, and that constant expanding and contracting is what eventually pulls joints apart and cracks finishes from the inside. A beech outdoor bench isn't a slow decay story. It's often a 1 or 2 season disappointment, and the frustrating part is that beech looks so solid and premium when you're building it that most woodworkers never suspect it until the damage is already done. What makes beech particularly unforgiving is that it doesn't fail gradually the way some softer woods do. It tends to hold its shape and strength right up until the moment a joint finally gives way, because the warping stress builds up quietly inside the wood rather than showing on the surface. That's why a beech piece can seem perfectly sturdy the week before a leg splits or a seam cracks open. Sixth is the one that catches out even experienced builders, pine, when it's used untreated. Pine has some natural rot resistance in the heartwood, but most pine lumber you buy at a big box store is a mix of heartwood and sapwood has almost none of that protection. Left untreated and exposed to weather, that sapwood content is often what rots first, sometimes within 1 to 2 seasons, long before the rest of the piece shows any wear. This is why so many pine outdoor projects look solid on installation day and are rotting at the joints 18 months later. The heartwood is the darker, denser wood from the center of the tree, while sapwood is the paler wood from just under the bark, and on a lot of common boards you're getting mostly sapwood without even realizing it. If you're building with pine for outdoor use, learning to spot that color difference and choosing boards with more heartwood matters more than almost anything else in that stack. It's also worth knowing that pressure-treated pine, the green-tinted lumber you'll see at most home centers, solves this problem chemically rather than naturally, since the treatment forces preservatives deep into the sapwood. That's a perfectly reasonable option for structural pieces like a deck frame, but a lot of woodworkers use the same treated lumber for furniture surfaces that hands and food will touch, without realizing that's not what it was designed for. And now, the one I said I'd save for last, because it might be the most common mistake in outdoor woodworking right now, and most people don't even think of it as a wood choice at all. Pallet wood. Reclaimed pallet furniture has exploded in popularity because it's free, it's rustic, and it photographs beautifully for the kind of farmhouse-style pieces everyone wants right now. But here's what almost nobody checks before they build with it. Pallets are made from whatever species was cheapest and available at the time, so you're often building with an unknown mix of low-grade, low-density wood with no rot resistance to speak of, and no 2 pallets are guaranteed to be built from the same material. Worse, many pallets are chemically treated for pest control during international shipping, and unless you can confirm the stamp on that pallet, you genuinely don't know what's been absorbed into that wood or what you're releasing into the air when you cut, sand, and burn scraps of it in a fire pit. On top of that, pallets spend their working life sitting outside on wet ground, stacked in warehouse yards, absorbing moisture and starting the decay process long before a single tool ever touches them. That gorgeous rustic coffee table might already be rotting from the inside before you even finish the build, and because pallet wood is already weathered and gray to begin with, that early decay is almost impossible to spot just by looking at it. If you're going to work with pallets at all, the one thing worth doing is checking for a stamp on the block, since pallets marked HT were only heat-treated and are generally safer to cut and sand, while ones marked MB were treated with a chemical fumigant, and those are the ones you want nowhere near your workshop, let alone a table your family eats off of. Most reclaimed pallets people pick up off the curb have no visible stamp at all, which means you're building furniture on a complete guess, both about the wood and about what's inside it. So if you take one thing from this video, let it be this: the wood you choose decides the lifespan of your project before you ever pick up a single tool. Joinery, finish, and craftsmanship all matter, but none of it can outwork a wood species that was never meant to survive outside. The woodworkers whose projects are still standing solid 20 years from now aren't necessarily better with a chisel or a router than you are. They just knew, before they ever cut a board, which wood was actually built to face the weather. Next time you're standing at the lumber yard, or eyeing a stack of free pallets behind a store, ask the one question that actually matters: was this wood built to face the weather, or was it built to sit inside where it never had to? Get that one question right before you ever cut a board, and you'll spend a lot less time replacing furniture, and a lot more time actually enjoying it out there in the sun where it belongs.